So let's dive right in. Let's talk about that. You know, I think that's a good point in terms of the history, and I think that you know, I'm of the belief that historically the entertainment business has perpetuated some really seriously harmful stereotypes, and I would like to think that the power of this new word diversity that's arrived over 5 years ago. It's amazing. In the last 5 years, suddenly it's become a thing eventually. And I think that if historically the industry has perpetuated some harmful stereotypes, what did that look like? And in order to understand how we can do better, you know.
So I guess I'd start with like what went wrong. Maybe in terms of
or
representation.
what went right, if anything went right.
Yeah, or maybe an example, or if someone, for anyone who doesn't know, of where you feel like it went wrong and where you feel like it may be going right now.
Where did it all go wrong? You know, I feel like as being Indigenous, we have such a rich culture, and it can be overwhelming to people that look at us and they don't know really how to place us, and then we end up getting pushed into almost becoming like a relic in a museum where they don't know what to do with us other than, you know, we get pushed into the stereotype that we need a feather in our hair, you know, buckskins, being on horses and stuff. But I think, you know, by educating people on who we really are, we are breaking down the long history of stereotypes that we have, you know, endured for a very long time. Because, you know, today we are doctors, we are lawyers, we are baristas at your Starbucks, and we are, you know, we take on all these different roles within our communities. So, you know, why not start casting us in those roles that, you know, and, you know, I've been very fortunate enough in my career to be cast in roles that are, you know, not, you know, ethnic specific, and I'm very blessed for that. And, you know, I continue to seek, you know, directors and writers that are willing to take the chance to cast me in those roles. But I think by educating people and having that conversation, just like what we're doing here now, will really help change the long history of that.
I think, too, where it went wrong, or where it has gone wrong in the past, is that we haven't had sovereignty and agency over our own stories. And I think that is changing. It's an exciting time to be Indigenous in the entertainment industry right now. I have a show that's in final negotiations that I've written, a 1-hour pilot. It's with a major streaming. And I literally, you know, I wrote it for Koryanka, I wrote it for Liz, I wrote it for Amber, I wrote all of my, you know, for Sherry. There's a role in it. Her name's literally Sherry.
Everyone's hired.
Exactly. And so so it was you know, I was very fortunate when I came into this industry. I just graduated from UCLA, and I'm not holding it up as a, you know, a bastion of great native cinema, but Dances with Wolves came out, and all of a sudden we were really hot. And so that's when I got into the industry, and there was a lot of work. Sherry and I got into the industry around the same time. And there was a lot of work, but then it just all kind of dried up. There was a statistic that just came out from USC Annenberg. I'm going to get this 2000 number wrong, but it was something like 2,789 series regular roles kind of during that time through 2015. So we're saying, you know, the early aughts to 2015, the 2,700, well, to 2,400. Guess how many series regular roles belong to Native people? 3, and I think they all went to Zahn, who we love and deserves them, P.S. But come on, and so I do think, as you know, we've got Jason here, and as we start writing these roles and we start communicating to our friends.
I could write more than 3.
Thank you. You know that as we write for our amazing, talented Native folks out there and writing in these very contemporary roles, not living in history, everything's going to change, and it's changing now. I think, you know, Renee, you just said you're working on a problem. There's just so much out there right now. So I do think having a Native writer in the room and having Native producers above the line and having you all as allies, just Michael, Russell, thank you so much. April, Renee, for championing, you know, our voices.
Well, something else I want to bring forth too. I mean, we've always been stoic, and we've always been stereotypical. We don't feel, we don't express, and we don't have humor. And now now they are casting us in comedies, which really we are, you know, not that we're funny, but we do have a sense of humor. Where for so many years, I mean, for so many decades, no one really looked at Indian people as humorous. It was always this stoicness that you were always cast as. So I think we've come a long way there. And we are getting cast in comedies now, and we are showing the world about, you know, our humor. And we do have it, and we're pretty funny. I agree.
I'd also add, just as a quick sort of like, you know, not trivia, but fun facts about Indians. We have a really unique and quirky relationship to this nation and the way we came up. I did some work with the Smithsonian National Museum of the American Indian, and they have a new exhibit called The Americans, which if anyone's out in DC, take an afternoon and go through it, because it's terrific. But just to kind of look at the way we evolved, that put us in this kind of like weird position that I think it crystallized in the way Hollywood portrayed us. For, you know, the initial years of the colonies and stuff, there were, you know, at times things were friendly, but things got heated, and, you know, there was a lot of fighting and enmity. Then when the third colonies became independent and pulled away from Europe, they needed something to distinguish themselves, their own identity, and they took on the identity of American Indians, because we are not European, we are this native land. And so suddenly white people were all Indians. It was not a mistake that the Boston Tea Party dressed up as Indians when they went and trashed the British stuff. And so that was where the kind of noble savage myth came in. But a very odd thing happened, because suddenly then everyone, I think, felt to be American, you could actually own a little piece of Native American, and that's why everyone, you know, comes up to us and says they had, you know, somewhere a great-great-great-grandparent who was Cherokee or something, and that's like okay. Yes, yeah, and it's kind of weird if you think about it. There's nobody else, there's no other group that is on jars of butter, or, you know, they're a motorcycle and a warship, and like that's just like, yeah, we're all over the place. And that's just but when it comes to our stories and our culture, that's an odd thing, because, you know, we want to be included. We are a part of this tapestry of America, but there's a fine balance between realizing that we are kind of like part of what makes us, but giving the respect and telling things accurately and with respect and good intent. And so that's the past. Now we're here, and I think it's a much more enlightened time. But I'm not bringing that up to kind of rue the past or anything, but just to put it into context, that's the uphill battle that I think we all face, and also something I think that like saddles all of us, because we're all in this together. So.
And I just want to kind of tap into everything that you guys said. So, you know, with that understanding, I remember working with Zahn McLaren, if any of you, he's fabulous. We've already spoken his name twice. And he, in an interview, had said something about basically, you know, if Tom Cruise, we were having to speak Comanche, he said if Tom Cruise had to do an entire movie in Japanese, he'd get an Oscar. So I guess in the spirit of that, and the spirit of the assumptions that exist for casting folk, what are some assumptions that do exist? Yes, go Renee.
Okay. This has happened on so many occasions. The assumption that because there's a native actor, and we're doing a film in Comanche, I need them to speak Comanche. And here's the sides. Oh, sorry, they're in English, but maybe they can translate it and send it back to us. And I'm here to tell you that is a very, very difficult thing. It's asking me to learn the furthest language that I know. I don't know what it would be. I'm not going to insult any other language, but it would be asking me to learn a language and turn around and audition in, 48 hours. That is part of the education process that we always deal with our producers. It's like, give us enough lead time. If that is something you're going to require, we need, we've created in my office, because we do a lot of projects, that's one of the things we have to seek out. And we've created a sort of a template for how, and then we get it translated by, hopefully by the cultural consultant and somebody that they recommend. And then we deliver that with the phonetics and with the English so that they know what they're saying, and with a MP4, so the audio that they can hear it. If it's a male voice, we need them to hear it from a male speaker. If it's a female voice, we need them to hear it from a female speaker. That is an extremely important thing if you're asking Indigenous actor to learn another language other than their own. And even if it's their own, don't assume that they can just translate it for you. Please provide them with the tools to do the best job possible.
You can't just say Siri translating it as Comanche, because Siri's Comanche is kind of sketchy still. AI has not caught up.
You speak Indian.
It's the
right?
nuances.
Let me ask you, Renee, because you're kind of an exception.